everybody. Today, I haven't done a podcast in a while, but today I want to talk about the sort of healing tool is what I would call it. A healing tool that I've used to help me find balance in my life. And honestly, it's really an ancient healing tool. If you consider it as yin and yang, but a lot of what I talk about is feminine and masculine energy, but it's the same concept with different words. So yang is masculine energy and yin is feminine energy, and that has nothing to do with your sex or really gender. It's really just an archetype, the feminine archetype and the masculine archetype, and the energy qualities that they represent, and how to embody those divine aspects of the feminine and masculine. Or I prefer to call it balance aspects, but can be considered divine. But I also think the unbalanced are also divine. You know, God is all things. So let's talk about, today I'm going to talk about how you can use this as a healing tool for yourself, because it's really helpful in that way. Prior to really diving into what these are, I kind of thought it was a bit wishy-washy and, you know, new agey, but really it's drawing on really ancient concepts and universal laws. So let's dive into it. I'm going to start off by describing what is, let's start with masculine energy, because really our culture and our society is dominated by masculine energy traits, and we're really in an unbalanced place right now. We can see the destruction of our environment. We can see the rule of scientific rationalism, and less value is placed on the sacred, less value is placed on intuition and feeling, which is the feminine. And until our society recognizes the intrinsic value in the feminine, we will be out of balance, and we will see these problems exacerbated, not only on the macro scale but on the micro scale. So you can apply this concept to both your internal world, your individual internal world, and to the collective and to the greater society. So masculine traits are left brain. You could consider it left brain, which is rational, analytical, thinking. It's protective, it's strong, strength, balanced masculine. It's protection. And so most of what we do in the course of the day is masculine energy. And I never really considered myself, I don't think I thought about it, but I never really considered, you know, me or my mother or any of my girlfriends or female relatives as masculine. But in fact, we all are quite masculine in our energetics, because it's fixing, it's doing, it's action. It's getting stuff done, which is amazing. Like, who doesn't love getting shit done? I fucking love getting shit done. It's such a powerful, motivating energy. And yet, if we're always on and we don't allow for the feminine aspect to come through, we can burn out. You know, there's so many instances of stress and burnout, and within our working culture, within our family lives, because we're lacking the balance that the feminine energy brings, the energy qualities. So masculine, it's rational, thinking, analytical, doing energy, action taking. You can see how that's valued in our society. Now, on the polarity, on the other side, the feminine energy quality, yin, is non-doing. It's receiving. It's listening. It's being. It's intuition. It's feeling. How many of us really feel our feelings? I just see so much work going on in the world today about learning how to feel your feelings. It's finally acceptable and starting to be acceptable in mainstream society to feel your feelings. And it's okay. You can see this for men. Like, men are told to be full-on masculine energy and don't feel things and don't show weakness, or not weakness, don't show that you're not strong. And this is causing great problems for men in our society. The problems for men on the level that they're not allowed to talk about their feelings, so they suppress it, and that comes out as anger and aggression in our society. And so we need to view the feminine not as less of value, that everyone has the capacity for each energies within them. So again, it has nothing to do with sex or what you identify as. It just represents, if you want to take masculine and feminine off the table because it's too connected to gender and sex and that whole debate that's out, not debate, the controversy that's out there, where people don't understand that people can identify as something other than their sex. If you want to take that off the table, you can just use yin and yang and just forget masculine and feminine. It's just certain energy qualities that are on opposite sides, and they complement one another to make up the whole, to create unity and balance within oneself and in society. So let me go back to the feminine and reiterate kind of the points of that energy quality. Again, it's listening, it's receiving, it's being, it's rest, it's reflection, it's feeling, it's intuition. And how this is a healing tool is that once you go research it, I invite you to, because listening to me and then forgetting about it is not going to be helpful. But really research the polarities, because once you understand the dichotomy between doing and non-doing, giving and receiving, feeling and thinking, those are just some of the main points between these two. You can see where within yourself, start with yourself, you can see where within yourself you may be a little unbalanced. If you're giving too much of yourself to everybody else, okay, and you're not accepting support from others. I see this in people all the time. They want to do everything for everybody else, but when it comes down to it, they don't want to take any help from anybody else. And that imbalance plays out in their life in a non-helpful, non-serving way. If you constantly do and you don't take time for intentional non-doing, you're going to be burnout, you're going to be stressed. And that comes out again in your physical health, your mental health, and your relationships, right? That's the easiest one to see because it's just apparent in so many of us, the doing and non-doing aspect. So that's how it can be a tool. Now you can go further and look at what's the unbalanced masculine look like? How does that present itself when you're not tapping into or embodying the feminine energy qualities? How does that present? Well, it presents as aggression, control, right? That's clear in terms of, when people talk about, I don't really like the term toxic masculinity, but, it's control, it's the greed, it's the possession, it's the anger, because they've not been allowed to embody the divine feminine energy qualities in their life, whether it's been learned through culture or family or both. And in terms of an unbalanced feminine, an example would be playing the victim, like really embodying that victim mentality, like I'm helpless, learned helplessness. Manipulation is an imbalanced feminine energy quality. I think let's go with the victimization role, is that can be embodied when the person it doesn't have to be a woman, it can be a woman or man that has a victim mentality, which is unbalanced feminine energy quality, where they need within themselves the strength and confidence of the masculine. And so you can see how these play off of one another. When there's an imbalance in yin or yang, it needs to pull from the other polarity. It's a balancing of the tensions between opposites. Okay? So you have the two polarities, the two opposites, and there's a tension between these two. If you think of polarity as magnetization, there's a tension between those. There's a force in between those. And we have to find the correct balance. And it might not, and within ourselves, we have to determine what that right balance is. Because individually, what is balanced for us may be, 40% feminine, 60% masculine, or 80% feminine and 20% masculine balance. But that's balance for us as an individual. Okay, so that's going to be different for anybody. So someone may be more feminine in their expression than masculine, more yin than yang, but they've struck the right balance, so they don't fall into those aggression and violence or victimization, manipulation. So everyone has their own unique balance, and it's up to you to explore, to be curious about what that balance is and what you need to heal in order to enter into that balance, for sure. And you can extrapolate that out into the collective. In that our society right now, it's clear, at least in Western society, that the masculine is unbalanced, and the masculine is dominating. And we need to, as a collective, we need to start celebrating feminine energy qualities, the qualities of deep listening, receiving, non-doing. Our whole economic model is about doing and production, more and more production, unlimited production without any rest. If employers could make their workers work 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, they would in that model. And we can see how that plays out. We can see how and there's hope in this, because there are a lot of businesses now that, you get unlimited vacation time. You can take whatever vacation time you want, any time that you need. You're allowed to have it. And it's interesting that they find that most people don't even take it. So that comes back to that internal conditioning of I need to constantly do. And I think if that conditioning was changed, I think more people would take those opportunities. So I think that's all I'm going to say on that today. I'm getting closer to work. I hope that it's been a clear explanation and that you can understand how you can use the concept of yin and yang, or masculine and feminine, the concept of polarities, and finding the correct balance between those in your life, in the world, and how that leads to unity. The two parts are of the one thing. So the masculine and feminine, all aspects, balanced or unbalanced, are of the divine. But when we find the correct balance, then we experience unity, completeness, wholeness, oneness, which is our true expression. And so I'll leave you with that today. If you like this podcast, please click subscribe on my YouTube channel and share this podcast on Instagram, the little snippet that I create. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comment sections and I'll be happy to answer. Have a lovely day and many blessings.